This is a story about her childhood. My family was very poor. Therefore, there has never been a birthday party for me or even a gift to celebrate it. But I was not sad. Because on Christmas night, I always got what I wanted. Every year, Santa Claus would always visit me in my sleep on Christmas night. And although no one was supposed to know, what I really wanted was always ready on my pillow the next morning. So I loved Christmas. Although there was no roasted whole turkey or big cake, which are the staples of Christmas, I was still truly grateful to my parents and to the special day of Christmas for the gifts that were always available. It is just a little bit strange. For some reason, my parents have a troubled look on their faces as they watch me rejoice in the Christmas presents that are prepared for me every year. I said, "Mom, Dad, thank you." And showing them my big stuffed bear, my parents were still a little creeped out. I don't remember when it started, but on Christmas Day, my parents started hammering wooden balls in the windows and plugging the hole in the chimneys. I saw this and said, "The Santa won't be able to come in." And my mother said, "Santa is such a creep." She yelled at me in a terrible swashbuckling manner. I heard it and said, "No presents today for Christmas." I was terribly sad. But I didn't need to be worried about that. The next morning, there was a lovely white puppy in my room. I was so overjoyed that I grabbed the puppy, woke my parents up, who were still sleeping, and said, "Thank you." They turned pale and jumped out of bed and immediately called someone. Soon, 2 police officers arrived. The parents shouted and explained something to the policemen, showing them the balls that had been hammered into the windows and the chimneys that had been blocked. But the policemen seemed to be too busy looking annoyed. For a while after that, every time I got a Christmas gift, my parents called the police and frantically tried to explain something to them, but the officers were just baffled. One year, a week before Christmas, my parents were in a car accident. Fortunately, both my parents survived, but they needed to be hospitalized for a while, so I will be celebrating Christmas alone. My mood at the time was the worst. It was a very lonely Christmas. And this was the first time I realized the importance of the presence of my parents. I kept bawling in the snowy nights and eventually fell asleep, exhausted from crying. Then I had a dream. For some reason, my parents, who were in the hospital, were home and decorated the Christmas tree. Then they would smile at me and say, "Let's have a happy Christmas today." I was so happy that I spent a full day with my parents decorating the Christmas tree, cooking a feast together, and spending time with the puppy I had received as a Christmas present at that time, who, for some reason, should no longer be with us. I went to sleep in front of the warm fireplace, wrapped in blankets with my family. When I awoke, I was alone, wrapped in the blankets, asleep. The fireplace, in reality, had been unused for a while and was covered in cobwebs. Apparently, it was a dream. I look outside and it is still dark. Naturally, the room was pitch black and I could see nothing. I put my hands on the floor to stand up to turn on the light and felt something I stepped on. At the same time as the slimy texture, the strange object let out a small cry. At first, I thought that I had stepped on my parents, but that is not possible because my parents are in the hospital now. The blanket I was wrapped in was pulled off by someone. I don't know what to do, so I desperately snatched back the blanket that had been wrapped around me. As soon as I felt the blanket leave from someone's hands, I wrapped myself in it to cover my entire body and just waited for morning to arrive. The sound of something crawling until morning comes. The sound of something cooking in the kitchen. The room is filled with the sound of something unknown, laughing or screaming. I just continued to be frightened in my blanket. While I continued to be frightened, the cries of some strange creature kept on coming. The cries were high-pitched, endless squeals and cries that sounded like scratching at a blackboard and something unidentifiable tuned into them, as if it were laughing or talking about something, or more than one voice. I could even smell something indescribably unpleasant and hear something chewing in the middle. It was as if something strange was eating something. Then, when I couldn't take it anymore, I seemed to pass out, and the next thing I knew, morning had arrived. Fearfully, I peeked out from under my blankets to make sure that any signs of the someone or something was completely gone, then carefully examined the house. The kitchen was messed terribly, and burrs, presumably Elsie, were strewn about in dismal state. Upon closer inspection, the corpse of Elsie had its wings picked off and was strewn all over the floor. Multiple bite marks of various sizes were left on Elsie's corpse, and it looks as if it had been torn to shreds while chewing. I was so scared and ran to my room. In my room where I had fled, there was the largest box I had ever seen, beautifully wrapped. I looked at the box and remembered that today was the day Santa was coming. I hesitated. Maybe it was because the largest gift box I had ever seen. For some reason, I felt that if I stood in front of this box and wished for what I really wanted, I could have anything. I had the urge to be given by my parents a hug right now. I found myself wishing I had a mother and father who were not here. But then it occurred to me. I said, I wonder if the parents coming out of this gift box are really them. I realized with horror. Now my parents are in the hospital. When I wondered if they were my real parents in this box, there was no way. I couldn't stop breathing out in a cold sweat. I took several big deep breaths and said in a loud voice, Please give me a peaceful everyday life, please. I kept repeating my wish loudly and earnestly over and over again. After I had asked enough, I carefully unwrapped the large box and opened it. The box was empty. I then let go, and another few moments of slumping onto the floor. I left my room, went to the room where the telephone was located, and called the police. How long had it been since then? The doorbell rang, and when I peeked out the window of my room to look outside, I saw a police car parked there. I opened the front door and explained to the police what had happened so far. Perhaps it was because my family always called the police every year at this time. The policeman entered the house with a disgusted and silent expression on his face and searched every room. After examining it for a while, the police said only one word, nothing out of the ordinary, and left the place. I thought it was impossible, but sure enough, the room was fine. The kitchen was back to normal, and even the large gift box that had been in the room was gone. After that experience, I no longer expect anything from Christmas, and I hate Christmas. And from then on, there were no more Christmas presents under my pillow. And since that event, my birthday has become an annual event, and my parents giving me flowers at my birthday party. It seems that I was indeed given the gift of peace. What would have happened if the gifts we wished for at that time had been our parents? I still shudder to think what I would have done had I asked for the wrong gift at that time.